On a cold and bitterly windy field just outside Frederick, Maryland, hundreds of soldiers stood in silent formation, waiting. It was December 23rd, 1861, just 2 days before Christmas, and the air was thick with the sting of sleet as the men assembled in a large square around a scaffold at the center of the field. They were here for one grim purpose: to witness the execution of one of their own, Private John Lanahan. Months earlier, Lanahan had been involved in a drunken brawl with another Irish private in Company Y. The altercation had escalated quickly, and Major Arnold Lewis, in an attempt to discipline the unruly soldier, had ordered Lanahan to be tied to the rear of a baggage wagon as punishment. It was a humiliating punishment, meant to instill order in the ranks. But things soon took a darker turn. As the regiment began to march, Lanahan managed to break free from his restraints. Seizing a musket, he set out with a single dangerous purpose. He was hunting for Major Lewis, the officer who had ordered his punishment. The major, accompanied by Assistant Surgeon W. Charles Rogers, rode toward Lanahan and ordered him to surrender his weapon. Lanahan, however, refused. In a tense moment, as the major dismounted from his horse to enforce the order, Lanahan took a deliberate step back, aimed his musket, and fired. The shot struck Major Lewis in the back, along with several buckshot. The major collapsed, mortally wounded. Lanahan was immediately captured and placed under armed guard. What followed was a swift march through the Union Army's military justice system. On October 21st, 1861, a court-martial was convened at the Army headquarters near the front lines. The evidence was clear, and the officers found Lanahan guilty of murder. As a result, he was sentenced to death. The court's verdict was swift. He is to be hanged by the neck until he is dead. On that cold December morning, the men on the field stood in grim silence, awaiting the arrival of the condemned man. Among them was Private Van Willard, a member of the 3rd Wisconsin Regiment. Willard had been assigned to the regimental hospital, where he worked as a nurse. But like every other soldier, he had been ordered to witness the execution. Reluctantly, he had left his post to join the other men on the field. Willard gives this account of what he saw. "I was present at the execution. Never did I witness a more revolting spectacle. It was a sad affair to see him hung. He was so young, so interesting in appearance. There was not a soldier's heart that did not throb with emotions of sympathy. As the carriage in which he was approached the place of execution, accompanied by the Wisconsin 3rd, the band played a solemn death march, and the long line marched slowly on, forming a hollow square around the scaffold. The prisoner viewed the preparations for his death calmly and without a shudder. He was very cool and self-possessed and walked at the scaffold with a firm tread, and looked calmly around the long lines of soldiers below. He was very pale but bore his fate without a murmur. When upon the scaffold he was asked if he was ready. He said that he was ready and willing to die, and that he had nothing to say, only tell the soldiers to shun the use of intoxicating liquor. All then descended from the scaffold, and he was kept standing alone. The trap was sprung, he fell, his neck was broken, and after a few slight struggles he was dead.